I remember well how our affair began. It was during one of those sweltering summer nights in Rome when even the moon seems to faint from the heat. You know that kind of heat that makes you long for a cold shower, but even that would feel like a torment. Well, here's my question for you. Have you ever found yourself torn between two men? Not just any men, mind you, but two men who each represent entirely different worlds. That's what I found myself in, and it wasn't just a choice between them. It was a betrayal of everything I believed in. Let me explain. The first man, Giovanni Battista, was my fiancé. He came from an old, moneyed family, the kind that clings to tradition so tightly you'd think they were afraid of progress might slip through their fingers. Giovanni was everything my family wanted for me: rich, respectable, and from a good lineage. Our engagement had been announced for months. Everyone was waiting for the wedding bells, even though we had yet to set a date. The second man was Dmitri. He was younger than Giovanni, a rising star in the art world. Charismatic, talented, and poor as church mouse. Our meeting was pure chance. One day I saw his work at an exhibition and found myself inexplicably drawn to it. There was something about the rawness of his paintings, the way he laid bare his soul on the canvas, that resonated with me. I became a regular at his exhibitions, eager to feel that same intensity he expressed in his art. But he never seemed to notice me, not really. I was just another face in the crowd to him. But then fate intervened, or perhaps it was destiny. We found ourselves alone in his studio after a particularly raucous opening night. And there, in the midst of his colorful chaos, he finally noticed me. It was like a bolt of lightning striking. Suddenly, it wasn't just his art that was filled with passion, but our conversation too. We talked for hours, not just about art, but about life, dreams, and desires. And I realized that I had never felt this way about anyone, let alone my fiancé. Dmitri made me feel alive, seen and wanted in a way that Giovanni never had. With him, I could be myself. Or rather, I could be whoever I wanted to be. Someone bold, someone free, someone unapologetically me. Our connection was undeniable, like a magnet drawing us closer and closer. We started spending every moment we could together, exploring hidden cafes, taking long walks along the Tiber, even sneaking in a few stolen kisses. I was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, terrified yet exhilarated by what was happening. One evening, Dmitri took me to his favorite rooftop terrace overlooking the city. The view was breathtaking, but it was overshadowed by the turmoil in my heart. I knew I was betraying Giovanni, but I couldn't stop how I felt about Dmitri. As the sky blazed with colors, I realized I couldn't keep living this double life anymore. I had to make a choice, and that's when he told me he loved me. The words hung in the air like a caress, both electrifying and terrifying. Now I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine being in my shoes. Would you have made the same choice as me? Would you have chosen the safe, predictable path with Giovanni or the thrilling, uncertain road with Dmitri? Let me know down in the comments. Your choices will influence the direction of our story. So choose wisely. So I decided to break off my engagement with Giovanni Battista. I went to see him, my heart heavy with guilt. He was shocked, hurt, and angry. I could see the confusion clouding his usually sharp features, the betrayal evident in his eyes. He tried to persuade me to reconsider, promising to change, to be more attentive, more loving. But it was too late. My feelings for Dmitri were too strong to ignore. My family was furious. They saw Dmitri as a gold digger, a pauper who had bewitched me and led me away from my comfortable life. My father even threatened to disinherit me if I persisted with this, quote-unquote, unsuitable relationship. But I refused to back down. Love, I argued, doesn't choose between social standings or bank balances. It simply chooses two hearts that beat as one. But my protests fell on deaf ears. They wouldn't accept Dmitri, nor would I accept their help in planning my wedding with Giovanni. Left with no choice, my family cut me off, not just emotionally, but financially as well. I lost my allowance, my access to my funds, and most of my luxurious lifestyle. But I didn't care. I was willing to sacrifice everything for love. Or so I thought. When I shared this news with Dmitri, he was ecstatic. Finally, he declared, "My crazy, beautiful love. Now we can be together without any pretense, without any barriers." I clung to those words like a life raft, even though I knew he was only saying what I wanted to hear. We moved in together in a small, rather run-down apartment that was a far cry from the chic lofts I was used to. At first, it was hard. I missed the comforts of my old life, the silk sheets, the gourmet food, the designer clothes, but I adapted. I learned to cook simple meals, to appreciate the finer points of a budget brand of wine, and to find joy in small things. It was during this time that Dmitri truly revealed himself to me. Sure, he was charming and passionate, but he was also selfish, immature, and sometimes downright cruel. He would spend days on end in his studio, forgetting to eat or drink. He would get so absorbed in his work that he wouldn't notice me sitting in the same room crying or in pain. And then there were the women. At first it was just casual flings for him, conquests to boost his ego. But then he started bringing these women home, not just for a night of passion, but to stay for weeks at a time. I was introduced as his roommate, nothing more. No one asked me how I felt about sharing a bed with a stranger or having breakfast with a woman I considered a rival. No one asked me anything. I wanted to leave, to go back to my parents and beg for forgiveness. But pride, stubbornness, call it what you will, kept me there. I hated Dmitri, but I hated myself more for allowing this situation to continue. Then came the bombshell. I found out Dmitri had been lying to me all along, not about his feelings for me nor about his past. No, it was about his art. Turns out most of his paintings weren't his. He had been stealing from a famous artist, copying his techniques, his style, even his subject matter. He had fooled everyone, critics, collectors, even me. And why? Because, as he told me with a shrug, it's easier to sell someone else's art than your own. There's no risk of failure, no fear of rejection. You just copy, you cash in. I was disgusted. How could I have been so blind? How could I have missed all the red flags? As I grappled with these questions, Dmitri came up with a new plan. He wanted to flee Rome, to start anew in Paris, where no one knew him or his shady reputation. He said it would be an adventure, a fresh start for both of us. But I saw through his plan. He wanted to escape his creditors, his jealous exes, and his mounting problems. And he expected me to tag along, to be his anchor in the storm. Only there was no storm. I was done. I was tired of his selfishness, his deceit, and his utter lack of remorse. I packed a single suitcase with the clothes on my back and a few essentials. Then I left him a note explaining my decision and slipped out the door. I didn't bother looking back. I was going back to my parents empty-handed, defeated, and ashamed. They welcomed me back, albeit with a lot of conditions. They offered me therapy, understanding, and a stern warning to stay away from troublemakers like Dmitri. As for Dmitri, I heard he was arrested for selling a stolen artwork. Apparently his luck finally ran out when he tried to sell one of Picasso's original sketches. The irony was thick enough to slice through the Tiber. Now I ask you, do you think I made the right choice? Was I foolish to throw away my comfortable life for a man who wasn't even worthy of my love? Or was I right to follow my heart even if it led to heartbreak? Your thoughts will shape the next chapter. So, don't hold back. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you think. If you like this story, show your support. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more content. Also, check out our other stories. Who knows, you might just find your next favorite tale. Until then, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep sharing your love for stories, because together we make the best stories even better. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Until next time, remember to live boldly, love fiercely, and choose wisely.